Hey everybody, today on Henry's How To's, I'm going to show you how to make knafeh. Let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to do is make our syrup because we need to let this cool down after. So just into a saucepan, I'm going to start by adding in about 2 1/4 cups of white sugar. To this we're going to add 1 cup of cold water. And I'm just going to squeeze in the juice of 1/4 of a lemon. And all we want to do is bring this up to the boil. Now you don't need to stir this. If you do, just use a wet pastry brush because we don't want it to crystallize. So just let it boil on its own. You don't need to touch it. Alright guys, so once you've got a nice gentle boil going like so, we just want to boil it for about 5 to 7 minutes until it thickens up a bit. As I said, make sure you don't stir it. Alright guys, so we're at the 5-minute mark now. As you can see, it's thickened up nicely. Now we don't want to go more than that because once it cools down it will thicken up more. So we'll turn the heat off now. And we're going to add in a tablespoon of rose water. And a tablespoon of orange blossom water. And we're just going to let this cool down now while we move on. Alright, so next, just into a small saucepan, I'm just melting 250 grams of butter. Now, do melt it on a low heat, not a high heat, because we don't want to boil it. Okay, so we're going to work on our filling next. So just into a saucepan on a low heat, I'm going to start by adding in 1 cup of full cream milk. To this we'll add 2/3 of a cup of full cream. Next we'll add about 2 tablespoons of white sugar. Next we'll add 3 tablespoons of semolina. And we'll also add in 1 teaspoon of corn flour. And for flavouring, we're just going to add a teaspoon of rose water. So all we're going to do is turn the heat up. And we just want to mix this together well. And we just want to bring this to the boil. Alright guys, so when it reaches the boil, we just want to turn the heat down to low to medium and stir. And we just want to cook this for about 3 minutes until it thickens up. As you can see, it's already starting to thicken up. Alright, so we're at the 3-minute mark now. As you can see, it's thickened up nicely. So I'm going to turn the heat off. And we just want to let this cool down as well. And now we can actually start assembling this. Alright guys, so next comes the fun part. So we're going to need kataifi pastry for this. Basically this is shredded phyllo pastry. In my case I am using the Antonio brand. These come chilled. Now personally I like this brand a lot. I use their phyllo pastry all the time for my baklava too. It's very consistent. Now depending on where you live, this might be hard to find. So you just need to look for sort of Middle Eastern suppliers or Lebanese stores, something like that. Some European, some Greek. Something like that will be fine. So basically we're going to open this up. And we're going to need about 500 grams for this. So basically that's how the dough is itself. So what we need to do is basically using a pair of scissors. All we want to do is chop this up into little pieces like that. Now if you want this to be easier, you can actually freeze this because it's easier to chop it when it's frozen. But I mean, it doesn't take that much effort, so it's up to you. Alright, so that's all chopped up as you can see. So as I said, we need about 500 grams of this. So guys, the next step is we want to pour our melted butter right over. And we just want to mix that through and get it well covered. Alright guys, so that's looking pretty good now. So take your time doing this. You want to get it very well coated. We definitely don't want massive clumps of butter anywhere. We want it nice and even. So I'm just going to be using a 30cm cake tin for this. Now you want one that comes up high. We don't want a shallow one. I'd suggest against putting it in a springform tin because it may leak through. So get something that's nice and closed. It doesn't have to be round either. So what we're going to do is grease this now. So I'm just going to get a knob of butter, and all we want to do is give it a good coverage. Make sure to get all around, and also you want to go all the way to the top too. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and assemble this now. So with our mixture, we want to divide it into thirds. We want to keep 1/3 for the top, 2/3 for now. Now it doesn't have to be exact, just try to estimate it. Okay, so that's roughly about 2/3 there. So what we want to do is spread this out, and we want to create a nice layer. So try and create an even layer, don't get it too thick, and you want to make sure you're coming up the sides as well. Okay, so once you've created the bottom layer, what you want to do is push down very hard and make sure it's in place. Alright guys, so with our semolina mixture, I'm just going to add half of it in now. And we just want to spread that out. And just create another thin layer. Now at this point we'll also preheat our oven to 200 degrees Celsius. So what we're going to do now is add in some mozzarella cheese. Now I'm using pure mozzarella cheese for this. So I've just broken it up into small pieces. You can also shred it. And you'll need about 2 cups for this. So we just want to spread that out as well. And make sure to give it a good coverage. Okay, that's all in place. So what we'll do now is top the remaining of our semolina mixture. And we'll just spread that across as well. So all that's left to do now is spread on the remaining of our kataifi. So you want to give it a very good coverage. Alright guys, so once that's all on there, we just want to push down, and in doing so, making sure it's well covered. So now comes the easy part. Provided your oven is at 200 degrees Celsius, we'll go ahead and put this straight in. Now guys, baking time will take around probably 50 minutes to about an hour. You want a nice golden brown finish. Alright guys, so I've just pulled it out at the 1 hour mark, and just look at how beautiful that looks. So all we need to do now is go ahead and pour pretty much 2/3 of our syrup right on. And make sure you get a good coating. Alright, just like so. And we'll leave the other third of our syrup for when we actually serve it. So all that's left to do now is just leave this alone, let all that syrup soak in, and we'll come back in probably about 15-20 minutes when we can flip it. Alright guys, so after we've let it rest, what we need to do is flip this over. Now I mean, you don't have to do this, you can just serve it on this side if you like, it's up to you. But obviously just get a plate that's a bit bigger. In my case, I've just got a cake stand here, which fits just around, which is perfect. All we're gonna do, flip it over like so. Just knock it a few times to release it. And just have a look at that. So guys, let's just make it look even nicer than it already is. So we're gonna start off by sprinkling some rose petals on top. Now of course you don't have to do this. I know a lot of people don't like rose. But if you're gonna skip that, at least put the pistachio. Now if you don't like pistachio but you like Middle Eastern baking, then there's something wrong with you. And that just looks beautiful. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and slice into this now. So, I mean there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I'm just gonna do it probably in eighths, just like a cake. So, start off in the middle. Actually, now I'm thinking eighths might be a bit too big. Let's go a bit smaller. And just look at that. So, if you guys want the cheese to be very stretchy, just go ahead and heat it up in the microwave before you serve it, so it's extra hot. Personally, I like it when it's cold. I don't know why, but I just prefer it cold. So that's just up to you. Either way is fine. And we've got the extra syrup on the side too, so when you're serving it, just drizzle a bit of extra syrup on top. So guys, storage wise, obviously it needs to be kept in the fridge. You could probably go up to about a week. That should be fine. I hope you like that guys. Please like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Snapchat and Instagram. If you got any comments or suggestions, just leave them at the bottom and I'll see you all next time.